Hey folks, welcome back to the Stronger is Better podcast, brought to you by Starting Strength Gyms. I'm kind of excited to did good the first time. I'm kind of excited to have a conversation with my friend and client Erin Spiva.
Yes,
Spiva. Yep. So Erin has been a client of mine for six years or so.
Close to 6 years.
Yeah, close to 6 years, if not, 6 years. Met her here at WFAC at Rip's Gym. And I think I invited her on because I want everybody to have her perspective as a strong female lifter trainee, doing a lot of things right. At the beginning, maybe doing a lot of things wrong.
Yeah, that's accurate.
We can talk about all that stuff. And a lot of you, I get a lot of comments. We're only 4 episodes deep, but I still get a lot of comments about, you're talking about these things in terms of this demographic, like men or women, and then you're not talking about old people. So one of the things that I'm intending to do is try to cover everybody, right? And I think Erin is going to be a really good ambassador, representative.
We'll see.
Whatever, spokeswoman.
Sure, we all got together and
putting a lot of pressure on you. Yeah, putting a lot of pressure. Anyway, so we're gonna talk about her experiences with barbell training, with lifting and training history, her experiences with progress, and with her results, which have been really, really impressive over the years. And we'll just have a kind of a long form discussion on training in general. So hope you guys enjoy it. Again, if you have any questions or if you have any suggestions for topics, I want to put this at the beginning for you guys. It's podcast@ssgyms.com. Send them there, and then I'll see them, and we'll try to fit them in. Okay, so welcome, Erin.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining. I don't know how nervous you are about this, but
I'm a little nervous, but it's just you and I, so I'm not going to have to pay attention to all those people, right?
And the tens of thousands of people who are going to be.
Nah.
Yeah, I don't think there's that many people right now, but
maybe that'll change after this one.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we'll get all the women.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, all the women. And then they'll come back and they'll be like, who is this guy? Like, why is he just
bring her back?
Yeah, bring her back. There was that video. It was a while ago. I don't remember what the video was about, but we used you as a thumbnail.
Oh yeah.
And so it's like you rack pulling or something.
Yes.
You're wearing like I think a pink tank top, and then you're not in the video, and everybody was pissed. This was on Starting Strength's YouTube channel.
Yes, it was, I think, the form check video.
Oh, it's on Reddit.
It's on Reddit, and then also on YouTube, because I started, so when I need a little self-esteem boost, I can go back and look at all those comments.
Oh, okay, yeah. So the Redditors are extra pissed. Yeah, those guys are.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, that's hilarious. But she'll be on the thumbnail for this, and she's actually in the video, so that's great. Okay, so let's just kind of start at the beginning. So women. So generally, my thinking, and I think the thinking of a competent coach, is not to make assumptions, right? So even if you're training a female, you're generally going to proceed exactly the same way as you would for anything else. And the program is set up that way, where and I talked about this in other episodes. The program is set up in a way to minimize as many variables as possible. So first day in the gym, first week in the gym, first month in the gym, maybe even 2-3 months, depending on who it is, the program doesn't really change at all from men to women. In fact, women do a much better job with coaching typically. So women, and for a lot of reasons, women are more flexible generally. Women take coaching and instruction generally better than men. Women don't have as many bad habits when it comes to the gym because they a lot of times haven't spent a lot of time doing barbell training or just kind of tinkering on their own. And then also women don't have this generally don't have this ego that men have, and all the assumptions and all the things that come with it. So in my personal experience as a coach, I've always had a large majority of female trainees versus male trainees. So even when I was doing a lot of in-person coaching, it was almost always mostly females. Personal training is almost always female, and I think guys just think they can figure it out, and and good on them for sure. But women are generally more willing to take instruction and take coaching. So anyway, all that to say that I guess I'm saying that I'm not inexperienced working with women, right, for one thing, but also at the beginning, nothing really changes. You're going to do the novice linear progression. You're going to, any assessments basically come from just teaching the lifts and doing the lifts. And then the progression is very, very rapid, just like it is for anybody else. And then really the only consideration at the beginning for training men versus women, or men versus women lifting, is that there's a neuromuscular efficiency component that needs to be accounted for. So, and you know this and you remember it well, right? So, as far as neuromuscular efficiency goes, men and women are different. So men have generally larger muscles; they're bigger, right? There's there's things that happen when you're in utero, and then it kind of completes the process when you're going through puberty, and mostly that's the effects of testosterone in utero and then during puberty. So men are larger, men are stronger, have thicker, denser bones, and then also on top of that, there's this neuromuscular efficiency component, which all that really means, to make it as simple as possible, is that men are able to recruit muscle mass at a I'm not gonna say much because I don't know, at a faster rate than women. And what that means is, for any given like effort against the load, whatever percentage of motor units, meaning the muscles that are connected to a nerve, the muscle fibers that are connected to a nerve, how many of those are gonna fire in what sequence and how rapidly is going to be determined by all these factors. So men have a faster rate of recruitment than women. So what that means in practice is that men are going to respond to a set of 5, and have 4 to 6 reps is 4 to 6 reps is that's uncontested anywhere. That's the range for building strength. 4 to 6 reps. In starting strength, we do 5s, but that's based on a typical male. So a typical male will respond really, really well to heavy reps. A typical male will respond really well to heavy sets of 5 for a long time, and that actually serves as the base for your strength training for forever. So no matter what you're doing, you're always going to be doing a pretty good amount of sets of 5 with strength training, so let's start with that as kind of the base assumption here. Because women recruit motor units at a slower rate, then they actually need a higher stress, because the things that contribute to the systemic stress that barbell training provides are twofold. Number one is the load on the bar, and then number two is the time that you're under that load. So, I mean, and this is highly simplified, right? But how long you're exerting against that load, and then how heavy is the load. So the sets of 5, the kind of the magic with a heavy set of 5 is that's sort of the sweet spot for both of those things: heavy load, and then also the amount of time that you're experiencing that load. Because women aren't recruiting muscle mass typically at the same rate. Usually in conventional sort of exercise science, personal training, what they'll do is say, okay, so you're not as neuromuscular efficient. So in order to give you long, lean, toned muscles, what we're going to do is sets of 8 to 12 to account for that. And that's 100% the wrong way to do it if we're trying to build muscle and you're trying to increase force production capacity. So what you do is you have to figure out how to make the bar heavier. Because actually what's happening with women at pretty early in the novice linear progression is that the load on the bar doing sets of 5 isn't stressful enough. So it's kind of like I talked about in the press episode. You have a under stress situation. So in order to continue accounting for that, what you do is go down to sets of 3. So rather than 3 sets of 5, you do 5 sets of 3, and then you can make the bar heavier, and then you get unstuck or you continue making progress. So as some practical advice there, if you're a woman, or if you're coaching women, as soon as the bar starts slowing down in the novice linear progression, as soon as the reps get kind of grindy, I'm switching women over to 3s, and that's 5 sets of 3 for the squat, the bench, the power clean. 5 sets of 3 for the squat, the bench, and the press. 2 sets of 3 for the deadlift, and then the power clean can kind of stay where it's at if you're doing that. So that makes the bar heavier, and then you can kind of cruise for a long time doing the triples rather than the 5s. If you try to stay on sets of 5s, and people make this mistake all the time, what'll happen is you get like just a sharp, steep drop off in performance. So you'll be like you would come into the gym You're supposed to squat 185 for 3 sets of 5. You did 180 or 182 2 days ago, and it looked great. Everything was fine. And then you come into the gym, and then you do your first rep, second rep, third rep, and then fourth rep just goes down on the pins.
Yeah.
And then, the inexperienced coach will look at you and say, Aaron, did you eat enough food? Did you sleep enough? How much weight have you gained? Right? And don't do that, because that's not the problem. It's just there's not enough stress. So I don't like to wait until that occurs. For a lot of reasons, especially when you're dealing with people who aren't familiar with strength training. Like, failure is not a great idea, especially that early. Like, there's no reason to fail. So again, as soon as the bar starts slowing down, we're switching to threes, and then you can cruise for a long time. So again, to kind of wrap this part up, there's not much difference. All you're going to do is switch from fives to threes, and then things are fine. And then remember, once you go into more advanced programming, as soon as you're not talking about the heaviest intensities for the week, you can go back to fives, right? So like, even in practical programming, this needs to be updated. But even in practical programming, like for a female doing Texas method, it says to do 8 sets of threes to get to like the same kind of 5 sets of 5. There's no reason to do that. You could just go 5 sets of 5 and get the same thing accomplished. Now, on your intensity day, you probably want to be doing a lot of triples versus a heavy set of 5. The other interesting thing about training women, because again of the neuromuscular efficiency deal, is that women are able to do slow, heavy, grindy reps, like one after the other, right? So you can do like you're going to be able to do a really heavy squat, and you could probably do it again, maybe the same or close within the same day, right? For a guy, if he's close to like a 97% of a 1 rep max heavy squat, he's probably done for the day. And even coming back to the novice phase, if you're doing like your heavy sets of 3, that bar could be moving like this. Like, it could be really slow and grindy. Where if you're watching a man do that, you'd be like, oh, he's gonna fail the next set. This ain't happening. But for a female, like, rest a few minutes, get back under the bar, and then we go, and then, you're good to go, right? Because that's the rate of recruitment part of it. So the longer you're pushing against the bar, your motor units are kind of switching on and off, and then you're able to just get through that. Where once the high force production motor units are sort of taxed for the guy, he's kind of done, right? So kind of sounds like other things, right?
I was gonna say, just and then you're
right.
Women will just keep going and going. And
going. Okay, all right. Let's not make this too weird. Okay, so anyway, you've experienced this firsthand, right? So why don't you? So I think when I first met you, you were in the gym. You had already started kind of training in the gym with by yourself, because you'd worked in Austin, with Joyce, and then moved to Wichita Falls. So I guess tell me all kind of that story, how you started at Wichita Falls Athletic Club.
Sure. How far back do you want me to go?
We could just start at WFAC. So
okay,
yeah.
So like,
or actually, sorry. Maybe start with your training history with barbells.
Okay, so that would be probably about a decade ago. Like a lot of people, I was at a point in my life where I was heavy, not happy with it. So I started running, and that was whatever. Running is awful. And then I found CrossFit, and I did CrossFit for a couple of years, and CrossFit was okay in the beginning. And then I hated the running part again, hated the rowing, but I really loved the barbells.
Okay.
So then I did some barbell training on my own. I found the Strong List program. I knew about starting strength, but I was a little intimidated to go into the gym. So I did my own thing. This gym right over here in this business that's like from the 80s. It's in the oil and gas building.
Oh, I've seen pictures of it, but
I trained there by myself for a while.
Is it still there?
It probably is never going to go anywhere. It's going to be there in like 100 years from now, I'm sure.
All right.
And then I moved to Austin, and I found Joyce because she was by a Starbucks. That was by my office.
Nice. Yeah.
But it was really great because I was at my point in my life. I was a little unsure of things, and it was a woman-owned barbell gym, and it was awesome. She did a program where she would alternate. So like she would do barbells one day, and then the next day she did kettlebells because she had this world record in kettlebells, and that was her thing. And then I moved back to Wichita Falls, and I thought I had the knowledge to just kind of do it on my own because I've been training with Joyce for probably about 3 years. So I tried to do my own programming. That lasted for like a couple months. I was spinning my wheels at the Wichita Falls Athletic Club, and then I remembered you because I did that coaching training program for a
Oh,
little bit.
right. Yeah.
Because I really
Yeah.
thought I loved going to the gym, and that was like my third place. So I thought that I'd be a coach, but my mind is just it doesn't work that way.
Yep.
So then I contacted you, and you were so kind to take me on, and it's been like that for like 6 years. But before that, like I said, I was trying to do my own thing, like a heavy, light, medium day type
Yep.
thing, and just wasn't going anywhere.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and I remember we talked a little bit, and then I should have brought it with me, but I have your training log and your from what I remember, your form was pretty rough.
It was not great, especially the squat. Oh my god.
Yeah, and one of the things about you is that you're really really bendy, really really flexible. So like you tend to like bottom out. You tend to
Yes.
move pretty fast. So I remember at the beginning at least it was getting you to like slow down and kind of feel the positions, and in a lot of ways that's kind of ongoing like for
Yes.
forever.
It's always gonna happen.
So but yeah, that's just part of the deal, right? So do you remember kind of like what were your lifts at that point?
Sure. So again, this was with awful form, so I feel like we kind of had to take a couple steps
Yep,
back and then
for
build
sure.
back up. When I came to you, I was probably squatting. My heaviest might have been like 225. I had hit 100 pounds on press not that long before that. 135 with like the worst form ever on bench, like my butt was flying up. And then I don't remember exactly. My deadlift might have been like 275, 280. I had hit a 315 block pull though, just
Okay.
like 6 months before I saw you.
Yep.
And then I could do like a chin up.
Okay. Okay.
Like the fall before, because I think we started working in the summer. I did like my very first chin up.
Yep.
But
Yep. Okay. Yeah. Your numbers have gone up quite a bit,
mhm,
but in addition to that, you've also, I don't remember like how much you weighed when you
sure.
first started, but you've had like periods of like gaining weight and then
Hmm.
periods of losing weight, right? So do you remember about how much you weighed then?
Yeah, so I could say my heaviest as I'll say a post-college woman, I was 200 pounds at one point. That's what started this whole fitness journey of mine. Um, I'm currently 160, so people are like trying to compare themselves. I would say like within recent years, I'll flex up to 180, 190. That's not ideal, but it happens, and then go back down to about 160. So when I
Okay.
met you, I think I was right around 175, 180.
Okay. Okay. If you remember, what's kind of the heaviest you were in the time we've been working together?
I've been up to like 185,
Okay.
187.
Okay. And you're like, how tall are you?
Well, that's one of those things where I've had my husband measure me, and it says 5'3.5". My driver's license says 5'5". So I like to say 5'4". That's like the middle
Okay.
between reality and
Okay.
my
All right.
fantasy world.
Yeah, that's good. Okay. Yeah, you don't want to be 5'3" or under
No, no,
because
no,
that's a
no.
problem. Everybody
Yeah,
who's 5'3" and under has
you
issues.
can't reach things. It's just difficult. So we'll say 5'4", just to make it
Okay.
even.
Okay. All right. Cool. And then overall, what would you say in terms of um, the yeah, I guess if you can just talk
Mhm.
about a little bit, because I mean the reality, and by the way, this applies to men and women for sure. But the idea that nobody cares about how they look is
That's
a lie.
that's a
That's
lie.
that's not true.
That's not
I
true at
yeah,
all.
I mean if we're honest with ourselves, I think probably the single most important reason that
Mhm.
most people who aren't in bad shape, like aren't like injured or hurting or something, are going to start going to the gym is because they want to look better, right?
Yes.
And looking better, like the way organize my thinking around looking better, because it's easy to get into like, oh, do you want to be a bodybuilder? Like bodybuilders do this thing, powerlifters do this, powerlifters look a certain way, sprinters look a certain way.
Hmm.
So it's too easy to get into like that sort of discussion, and there's too many factors that are involved in that, right? So there's
Sure.
there's genetics, there's your training methods, there's drugs potentially, there's all these different things that are involved. But the truth is, what I think most people want to do is look more athletic and more
Hmm.
capable. So
Yeah.
like when people talk about wanting to look toned, when people want to have abs, when people want to have um, skinny guys want to be bigger,
Right.
skinny women want to look more toned or more muscular, or they want to lose weight, they want to
Or they
get
want a bigger
smaller
butt.
or bigger butt, right?
Yeah.
All that means is like to look more athletic and more capable. So I like to frame it in the terms of looking athletic, like looking like you can do things, because generally that means looking more muscular, looking
Hmm.
more lean,
Yes.
and looking more capable, which I think kind of appeals to that sort of like caveman cavewoman thing that's buried deep within us, where like you can look at somebody and say, oh yeah, like I don't want to fuck with that person,
Right.
or that's somebody I want to talk to, that kind of stuff. So anyway, can you give us your thoughts on like your sort of aesthetic
Sure.
journey, so to speak?
Yeah, so I'd be lying if I said that I started this because I was concerned about my health. That wasn't the case.
Mhm.
So a decade ago, when I decided to start jogging, is because we took a family picture and I saw myself at like 202 pounds, and I was like, "What on earth has happened to me?" You know,
Yeah.
you go to college, you're not doing all the sports you do in college or you did in high school. My college had chocolate milk on tap, so I was drinking chocolate milk
Oh
just
shit.
like like crazy.
Like you
Um,
could just go anytime and get a
yeah,
cup of chocolate milk?
yeah, exactly. You had the little meal card. They always had a dessert bar.
Yeah.
So it's just so much chocolate milk, so much
Isn't it
dessert.
amazing that there's people who like can't gain weight?
I don't
I
I
don't
do not
understand it.
understand that at all.
Yeah.
Like just
I
follow me around and I will feed you what I want to
I
eat.
feel so bad for, and I think I've said this before, but it's way easier. Like if you were to compare a skinny person who needs to gain 30, 40, 50, 80 pounds in some instances,
Hmm.
to somebody who is like, who needs to lose 100 pounds. The person who needs to lose 100 pounds is in a better position to do that than the person who needs to gain 50 pounds. Because like the person who needs to gain 50 pounds has to actively do something that they don't enjoy
Oh.
consistently every
Hmm.
single day, every single meal. They have to be thinking about food constantly, where like I think about food all the
Oh
time.
yeah.
It's like,
I've never missed a meal.
so all you have to do is like all I have to do is less of a thing that I enjoy, and
Oh,
that's reasonable. I think that's
sure.
where like a little skinny dude or a really skinny female, like getting them to eat is the hardest thing in the world.
That's just not how my brain works. I don't
It's
understand it at
really,
all.
yeah, yeah, like
Here's some Ben and Jerry's or whatever it is, a Swiss cake roll, and just go
yeah,
to town.
yeah, it's very weird. So
Um,
yeah, chocolate milk on tap
oh,
is
it
an
was the
easy
best.
hack. Yeah.
So good. So I saw this family picture of me, like my belly was further out than my chest. I was just round, my face was puffy, and I hated it. So that's why I decided to start trying to lose weight, obviously, and get into a better shape. And I think one of the fears, the traps that women fall into is if they touch a barbell, they're going to get big
Yeah,
and bulky. You
right.
know, it's like that thing you see online. Just because you are in a race car doesn't make you like a NASCAR driver. It's the same thing. I think you cannot accidentally get bulky as a woman. And the process of trying to get bulky will get you the physique that you want.
Yep.
The lean, I hate the word, what is it, like cut or, like, that doesn't make sense to me. You want the big muscles and then you're going to get the lean athletic look that you're going
Right.
for.
Exactly right. Yeah. Yes. Like I think we could say that you have, and not that this was like a stated goal, but the way
Hmm.
you've trained is in a fashion to actively try to get bulky. Like, I mean, that's the
Yeah.
training methods that you would use. And I guess it's subjective, but you know, you haven't turned into a horrific bulky woman,
Not yet.
not yet at least.
Trying to.
But yeah, the bulky thing is like it's a thing that just won't die,
Hmm.
and I tend to think it's more of like fear of the unknown type of a thing.
Mm.
But even if that was a concern,
You can just stop.
you can stop. Right, like you can stop as soon as you look in the mirror. Like, oh damn, like I'm really bulky
I
now.
accidentally have like huge arms. How
Yeah.
did that happen?
Yeah, and the other thing to remember is like there are thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of
Hmm.
young men who have testosterone, who have high levels of testosterone, going to the gym every single day, doing everything they can legally to make themselves bulky,
Hmm.
and those guys go to the gym. And they spend potentially hours in the gym, and they look exactly the same every
Yep.
month, you know. So it doesn't, like you said, it doesn't happen by accident.
Hmm.
And the basically all the things that people are typically looking for from an aesthetic perspective
Hmm.
are kind of like achieved through heavy barbell training,
Yes.
right? Because you can run, you can diet, and you can do like you can do low carb stuff and start doing a bunch of cardio, do CrossFit or something like that. And what is and I don't, you tell me what your experience was, but typically you just kind of shrink, but you look the same. Like your shape is the same, you just get smaller,
Hmm.
right? And you're just like a smaller version of like that other person. Like the only thing that can really transform your appearance is heavy barbell training, like
Yeah, you get
building
skinny fat, basically, right? Yeah,
Sure,
you
sure.
shrink down
Yeah,
a
and
little bit.
even if you build muscle, it's not a lot, right? It's
Hmm.
just kind of like you're just kind of like a smaller, maybe a little bit leaner version of what you were. But in order to look different, like you look different than you did 5 years ago,
Oh yeah.
100%, right? And in order to look different, you have to lift heavy because that's how you build tissue. That's how you
Mm-hmm.
build muscle. That's how you build connective tissue. That's how you build bone. So there's really only one way to get the actual goal that you want. And the bitch of it is really hard. It's
Yeah.
really really difficult, right?
Yeah, I mean, you say it's hard. I mean, it's simple, but it's hard, if that makes any sense, right?
Absolutely.
Like, it's simple to pick something up heavy and set it back down. I guess the hard part is just carving out the time and just like doing it.
Yep.
But it's not like it's some beaker scientific whatever. It's just, I mean, a caveman can pick up a rock and set it down.
That's right.
And I want to go back a little bit to what you're saying about trying to transform your physique, because I think the other benefit, I think a lot of women, we're always trying to lose weight, right? We're always trying to be smaller, take up less space, whatever that is. The great thing about barbell training too is that, like, I love to eat. We're going to say that probably 100 times. You can keep eating like a normal person. Like, you don't cut down to 1,200 calories if you can keep kind of eating the stuff that you like, because all the tissue, the muscle, the bone, it requires a lot of calories. So it's not as big of a shift.
Right.
Like, you're not starving yourself as you're running endlessly on a treadmill.
Yeah, in fact, you can't. Like,
No, you
have
can't.
to,
You'll burn out.
You have to eat, actually. So
And carbs. Like, I did the low carb. I did Whole30 before. I did low carbs. God, that was just miserable.
Yeah.
You had no energy.
Yeah. Women who are training for a long time, it's not uncommon for them to need to eat. I mean, I've got multiple female clients who have to eat 2,200 calories a day, 2,500 calories a day, you know, and we're talking about 130, 150 grams of protein to keep them recovered. But that's a lot of calories compared to what women will typically eat, especially if they're kind of in this like weight loss, leaning out mode, right? So it's exactly like you said, like 1,200 calories, you know, whatever protein, and you're basically maintaining or starving yourself. But yeah, it's hard work. It's hard work, and then if you like food,
You're screwed.
well, but conversely, if you like food, I mean, lifting is the way to do it, right?
So, I can tell the audience, because I think people like to compare, just so they know. I'm 36 years old. I'm a female. I don't have kids. I've never had kids. But I'm like the end of my little cutting phase, and I'm losing weight on like 1,800 to 1,900 calories a day, like losing half a pound a week.
Yeah, and you've been kind of on that protocol for how long now? It's been like 4 months?
Well, so I've been losing, because I swung back up to that 180 about a year ago, and then I took a break right around the holidays because I'd hit like 165 and I just wanted to maintain. So yeah, for about the past 3 or 4 months, and I took a vacation in there. And,
Yeah. Yeah, let's talk a little bit about kind of like habits and stuff, because one of the things that is really interesting about you and people like you is, you know, it's been 6 years. And you basically are doing the same thing you've been doing for 6 years. I mean, fairly recently we've added like just a couple of random upper body stuff. Yeah, and it's not just for fun. It's like, you know, what are you pressing right now? Like,
I could probably do a heavy single 110-ish.
Yeah, so that's, I mean, that's heavy. That's a heavy press.
It's all relative though, like you say that, but
yeah, no, I mean, that's a heavy press for somebody your size. So we've gone through this kind of progression of like sets of 5, sets of 3, splitting up, you know, 5s and singles, adding pin presses. Like there was a time I think you were doing pin presses twice. You were pressing 4 days a week.
Yes.
Right. So it was like volume and then pin presses and then another day of pin presses and then another day of singles. Nights. Yeah. And then the question is, so like, what do you do next, right? So you can't really do more.
No.
I mean, you could try, but so at some point it's like you have to add just more overall work. So your program is fairly basic, and then all of the sort of quote unquote bro lifts are just adding more, adding to the overall stress, right? But that works as a woman who's pressing regularly over 100 pounds, doing volume work at, you know, what is it? It's like in the 85s, 90s, maybe a little bit lower than that. So, you know, you're hitting 15 to 25 reps at a pretty significant weight. And then also you're doing all this other lower body stuff in addition to all your other activities, right? So if we just hammer you with more benching and more pressing, and this is what we'll get into a little bit later, but then it interferes with all the other activities you need to do, right? So you have to be able to apply stress and kind of a more localized stress without beating you up so you can't do all the other things that you enjoy. So yeah, that's a topic we'll get into, because, you know, after a certain amount of time, lifting can't be your only thing unless you're a competitive lifter. Right. It can't be. Otherwise, I mean, there's people out there who are kind of, for lack of a better term, like autistic enough that they just want to do the same thing all the time. But for most people, it's like we need to like find a hobby, dude.
Sure.
Like find something else to do. So anyway, yeah, let's talk about kind of your programming. So your programming is really simple. Well, how does it look to you? Does it, like, when you look at it, does it make sense? Is it complicated? Is it fairly simple?
I think it's simple. So we just, like you mentioned, we recently changed it 3 or 4 months ago because I think I was getting to a point where I was a little bored. Like, we've been doing the same thing, and it was working though. I
Yep.
think it was just more of a mental thing for me, just to do
Sure.
something a little bit different. It's just 3 days a week. I was doing 4 days a week, but I think we're gonna get into later. I wanted to move down to 3 days a week to focus on some other activities, and it's yeah. We're doing more bench now because I have the goal of benching my body weight.
Right.
We do a lot of lower body stuff just because I love pulls.
Yep.
And if we do at least, it feels like we're doing like 2 different pull activities a week, right? Because we're
Yep.
doing those Dimmell deadlifts
Right.
and then something else. And then I just really one press day. So we've gone from 4 to 1.
Yep.
Like actual press. Like, we're still doing Arnold presses, we're doing other upper body stuff,
Right.
but
Yep.
it's simple, but there's a pattern to it. It's easy to follow.
Yep.
And,
Yep. Yeah, you can thank Will Morris for the Dimmel deadlifts.
oh God,
Yeah,
they're awful.
he had me do those when my back was injured, and yeah, and then I was like, oh, everybody's doing these now.
And it's the thing with those Dimmel deadlifts, you have me on the program where I increase by a rep every week, and then at the 4 weeks, then we go up 2 pounds. But it's like one of those things. By the time I'm doing 8 reps, I am so ready to go up in weight, so I can
Yeah.
go.
So you go back down in,
So I can
in
go back
reps.
down.
And you're well, maybe not right now, but there was a point where you were handling like some pretty serious weight. I was like, what the hell? Because one of the things you probably noticed this is like things are just running, right? So as I'm doing the programming, I'm like, okay, yeah, it looks good. Move up, move up, move up. And then like every once in a while, like maybe in response to a question or something, or I'll just like look at it and be like, let's see where we're at. And it's like, holy shit, like this is like she's doing sets of 8. Do you remember? It was like 240.
That's what I'm at right now. It's like 247.
Yeah, but this was like a while ago
yeah.
when you were
I think
first
we're
starting
close
it.
to like we're close to 250 something, 260. Yeah.
If you don't know what a Dimmel deadlift is, check it out. But yeah,
They're awful.
240, 250 pounds for 6 to 8 reps. That's serious. It's serious
Yeah,
business.
I think it's like I'm kind of getting tired, and
Yeah.
I can't really hold on anymore.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So Aaron's strong, guys. So what are, yeah, so let's go through. So when we first started, we probably did a short NLP,
Yes.
spent a little bit of time doing, and you having been around for this long, you're kind of like in the same boat as like Bree. So you've gotten to experience all of the different experimentation and stuff.
It's fun.
And yeah, it's gone well, fortunately, but sort of like the setup that you're on now, I think it's been like the general like template, and it's pretty much what I talked about in the first episode. But the general template was probably, we started that, it's probably been 2.5 years, maybe even longer
Yeah.
than that. So yeah, I just want to kind of point that out, that it's like you've got a lifter who's been training diligently and without. I mean, you don't miss workouts. You know.
No, I go on vacation like
Yeah,
anybody,
but that's not
yeah.
missed. Like, it's planned, right?
Yes.
So you don't miss workouts. You do everything you need to do. But we've been running the same basic sort of template. So there's a difference between like an actual program and sort of a template, right? So in terms of the structure of the program, it's been almost the same for over 2 years.
Right, like the heavy single and then the 80% back offsets.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly right. Yeah. So yeah, how do you let's talk about like the singles. Let's talk about how your thoughts on how like strength training works for you, and then we can kind of get into how it fits in with all the other things you're doing. Right now you go into the gym, and like, what is your objective for the day? What is your, because at the beginning it was like add weight and then add weight next time and then add weight next time. So I think that there's going to be I know that there's going to be a different sort of like perception about what you're doing. And you have days that are heavier, you have days that are easier, you have days that you hate, and you have days that you like. So right now when you walk into the gym, when you finish that workout, what do you want to happen? Like, what do you want to feel like? What do you want to experience?
So every workout, I still always have a number in mind. So even though we're not actively adding weight to the bar every time, I still, maybe I want to hit 6 press singles and I want them all to be above 100 pounds or whatever it happens to be. So I always try to have a number in mind so I can work towards it. And then it varies. I think as you are advancing more in your lifting career, maybe you can tune in a little bit better. It's like, oh, I slept horribly or my
Yep.
nutrition, but it's not like I'm going to take 30 pounds off. I might tweak it a couple pounds.
Yep.
I'm always chasing the PRs. So it's like whenever I do my heavy singles, especially for like my pulling lifts, I still, okay, last month I hit 245. So this one time I want to hit 247. So I still like, I think it's just a mental thing too. You want to feel like you're progressing
Right.
towards something. I am at the point now, I don't want to feel wrung out at the end of it. So I feel like when I first started, if I wasn't just like a sweaty mess dying, it wasn't effective.
Right.
But now I want to be able to go take my dog on a walk afterwards or just do something. I don't want it to be so, it doesn't take over my life as much,
Yep.
right? It's part of my life. It's not the end all be all,
Yep.
if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Yeah. Great. Great. That's exactly what I was hoping you'd say.
That wasn't planned.
No, not at all. But I mean, this is kind of the reason I want to talk to you about this, because you have a generally very healthy relationship and a good balance between your training and everything else. I think as a coach, one of the most frustrating things is that people stop early. Like they stop when it gets hard. They refuse to sort of find the balance, because I mean, tell me if you agree with this, but it's like Pandora's box. Once you're into barbell training, it never gets easier for one,
Oh,
right?
no.
It only gets harder. But also you shouldn't stop. Like you have to do it for the rest of your life, because depending on what stage you're in your life. If you're younger, you need to get as muscular as possible to set yourself up, right, for injury prevention, longevity, all the things down the line. Even things like blood sugar control and all these things. Like all that matters when you're young. If you're like kind of in midlife, it's like holding on or even improving, right? So like I get a lot of questions from guys who are like in their 50s and they're like, oh, should I only train twice a week? Should I I mean, clients that I've had who are started in their 50s and they're like hitting PRs and getting up to incredibly heavy numbers. At that age, it's like get as much as you can. It's going to be as it's going to be slower than if you were younger, but get as much as you can. And then for the people who are older than that, then it's like it's just prolonging your ability to do things, right? So anyway, this is a lifelong process. So when you start somebody out, you see a lot of progress 2 to 3, 4 months down the line, and then they start having trouble with, like, first of all, the effort, because it's hard and it sucks, but then also just the ability to balance it with the rest of their life. And then you start getting questions like, hey, I think I want to do this thing and I want to try this other thing. And my contention is that you should do other things.
Yes.
You absolutely should do other things. There's probably a short period of time when you first start that you should primarily be focused on barbell training. That doesn't mean you have to quit doing everything else. But after that, it's all about finding the balance, right? So one of the things that you do really well is define your goals. So whenever we talk, it's like, okay, so what do you want to do next? You have reasonable goals, like they're not insane. You have reasonable goals. You are consistent in working towards those goals, which is the most important thing. It's like, if you have a goal, you have a plan, stick to the plan, don't miss, be consistent, be compliant, and that'll get you like most of your results, right? And then also the third part of it is that you have reasonable and consistent goals and like a relationship with how this fits within your whole life, right? Now there's parts of it that you are, again, for lack of a better term, like really anal about, but you have to be like, you're not going to miss training. You're going to arrange your schedule so that you do things. You're going to,
My poor husband, he knows.
you're going to have like your baggie of chicken or whatever when you leave the house.
My travel chicken.
Travel chicken. But that's what it takes to do what you've done, right? And what you've done is pretty impressive, or is very impressive. But even if you don't go sort of to that level, you still have to figure out how to balance this with your whole life, right? So I know that's like a lot and kind of random in terms of my thoughts, but what do you think? Do you have any thoughts there?
Well, you make it sound like I am just single-mindedly obsessed with this, and I guess I think you have to do that in the beginning to set the habits, maybe, and then after that, it's just kind of on autopilot. So we're joking about my baggie of chicken. Protein's important.
Right.
I still love to go out to eat, go out to dinner dates with my husband. But if I haven't hit my protein goal, I'll have pre-cooked chicken in my fridge and I just toss it in a bag and I eat it on my way to dinner. I mean, it sounds silly, but it's not like it's not a high effort thing, right? It's not like I'm telling them, oh, we can't go out to eat because I need to. No, it's just something I fold into my life, or
exactly
my training. So I am a dilly-dallyer, so I might take on a normal day, like 2 hours. It could probably be down to like an hour 15 if I really got to it. But if we want to go out, I just know I have to cut down on my rest periods a little bit or
Yep.
just be a little bit more efficient. But it's not like I'm telling the people in my life that we can't go out because I have to hit the
Exactly.
gym. I don't do that.
Right.
I will shift some things around, but
Yep.
I mean, there's a whole life to live. My life is not the gym.
Yep. Yeah. So if I made it sound like that, that's I actually meant the opposite. I mean
Right.
that you do a good job of like making it all work, right?
Mhm.
Because yeah, you definitely can't turn it into a job, and you definitely can't turn it into something that interferes with your relationships with your family and your spouse and your friends and all the other
Yeah.
things you have going on. So so yeah, if you don't mind, let's kind of get into those habits, because it's like one of these things that when like if we talk and we come up with a plan,
Mhm.
I almost like don't have to check on you, like
That's true.
it's getting done.
Mhm.
You know, so maybe talk a little bit about goal setting and how you think about goal setting. Think if you can talk about how your goals have shifted over the last
Okay.
5 years, because that's definitely been a thing, right? And then how you make it work.
Yeah. So when I think about goals, I guess there's always just the next weight. So right now, the goal that we're working towards is a body weight bench, and then I would like to pull 405. The first will be like a rack pull, and then a deadlift, obviously. Um, it's it's nice, I think, to have a goal, so you know if you're moving towards something. But it's like I'm not gonna be pulling 550 anytime soon,
Yep.
or if ever. Like, I don't know if the genetics are there for that, but it's nice to have something there that you can keep working towards. A lot of my goals are like weight and physique based. That's been up and down over the years, but that's one of the things that we're talking about for planning is I know I have to hit a certain amount of calories, certain amount of protein. I want some fats in there to keep, mental clarity and things moving. So, for example, I've talked about this in your chat that you have with your clients. Every week, I bulk prep a meat. So lately it's chicken thighs just because it tastes so much better than chicken breast, but I just throw 2 to 4 pounds of chicken thighs in the slow cooker, let it go with some basic seasoning, and I just have a bulk set of chicken.
Yep.
I've tried the meal prep thing. Like, I am not the person that's going to spend 6 hours on a Sunday
Right.
making a little Instagram. I
Little
just can't do
trays
that.
and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so cute, but that's not me. So I will bulk prep a meat, and then I will bulk prep a grain. So lately it's been like quinoa with some chicken broth and spinach all cooked together, and then I will portion that out. But then that way I have all this chicken, so I can throw it into my quinoa. I can throw it into SpaghettiOs. I can throw it into canned soups. I can put it in a wrap. So that's one of those things I was talking about, that it might seem that I'm a little obsessive or a little bit weird about things, but it takes 3 minutes to throw it into the slow cooker and let it do its
Right.
thing. It's not
Yeah.
like I'm spending my entire weekend meal prepping for the week.
Yep. Yeah. So it's not about being neurotic or anal. It's about being just a little bit intentional.
Yeah, just a little
right?
bit prepared.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
little bit intentional, a little bit prepared. Okay. So in terms of like your training schedule,
Mhm.
do you have like set times every day, or on training days that you're
Yeah.
just gonna train?
Yeah, it's just after work. So I guess if I had to give one piece of advice to your listeners is that you just kind of have to figure out who you are when you're trying to achieve goals. We're going back to the
Yes.
goals thing.
Right.
So I am not a morning person. I would love to be the person that wakes up at 5 in the morning and just greets the sun and like goes and lifts and the ice plunge, whatever the hell. But I'm not going to do that.
Yep.
Occasionally you have to if you have stuff going after work. But I know that I feel my best. I train my best right after work. So I set that up. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, just get done. I work from home. I'm pretty fortunate. Close the laptop, go work out at my gym that I have in my house.
Yep.
Same thing with like the meal prep thing I was talking about. I've tried to be the Instagram, portion everything out, but that's just not me.
Yep.
So you just obviously you have to make changes to who you are a little bit if you're going to achieve goals, because you have to move from your equilibrium, but you can't just overnight be like, I'm going to be this totally different person. If
Yeah.
you work with who you are, it just makes it so much easier.
Yeah, and you can't, and it's never a good idea to make so many changes to your current life that it's not sustainable. Sustainability
Exactly.
is the way to think about it, right? So, I assume, or I suspect, that where you are today with all of these habits and making everything work is the result of like a slow incremental process, right? Maybe at the beginning it was like, and this is what everybody does, right? You start a new thing and you get super excited about it,
Yes.
and you're like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this other thing, and this is going to be my new life. But that's not the way it works.
Life
right?
happens, right? Yeah. Life shows you that, man, you are not a morning person, so you're going to
Yep.
sleep through your alarm every time. So
Right.
why set yourself up for failure?
Yep.
Just do something else.
Yeah, yeah. Can you kind of remember over the course of us working together, what your kind of big goals have been during that time?
So one of my very first goals when we started working together is I wanted to deadlift 315. And I don't know if you remember this, but I hit that at one of the competitions
I do
at the
remember
athletic
that.
club.
Yeah.
Yep, I was so excited. So that was one of the first things I wanted to do. And now, I mean, I just deadlift 315 on any random
Yeah.
Monday I
Yeah,
feel
that's right. That's right.
um, I'm trying to think something. I wanted to be able to do multiple pull-ups just
Right.
because that seemed really cool.
That was awesome
Yeah.
because yeah, that was cool because it didn't I don't remember it taking very long.
No, it was one of those things that I think you have to get stronger than also lose the weight at the same time.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's almost like you just wake up and then you go from doing 1 to 3 to 4.
Right. Right.
So, yeah, that's something that moves fast. Like my squat, weight on the bar, I feel like that always just moves so slow. But
Yep.
chin ups are different, or
Yep.
pull ups are different.
Yeah, there's been a couple, and we kind of already touched on this, but there's been a couple of times where it's like a period of like, okay, I'm going to drop down to X amount of weight,
Yes.
and then all the things that come along with that.
While trying to retain as much strength as possible, obviously.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly right. Because there's two ways to do it, right? You can lose weight very quickly,
Yes.
or you can take a gradual approach and not lose a lot of strength.
No. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, your progress definitely slowed down, and that's one of the reasons that you're not lifting. I mean, you're lifting heavy, like really heavy, but you're not lifting heavier than you
Sure,
could
yeah.
because you could be 200 pounds and be stronger, probably
Yes.
much stronger. But what's the point? Right. I
Right.
mean, if you can walk into the gym and deadlift 315 or rack pull 365 whenever you want, are you? I'm not to say that you're strong enough, but the
You're never strong enough.
the trade-off is, do you want to be Erin at 200 pounds at 5'3"? To do that for a competitive aspirations, that may be worthwhile. But
I'd rather move comfortably through society.
exactly,
Yes.
yeah, in life
Yes.
in general, right? Because anytime you're going into anything that's in a competitive realm, you're making trade-offs, right?
Exactly.
So you're and one of the trade-offs is your health. So yeah, anyway, all that to say that, like, because there's some asshole out there who's saying, oh, well, she started with a 2 whatever
Right.
deadlift and she's only deadlifting 345 or 365 now. Like, that's not a lot. Dude, you're 5'4",
Thank you.
5'4"
Yeah.
woman who has gone from 200 pounds ish to 160 pounds ish, and probably leaner than you've ever
Yes.
been, right?
I feel like look better than I ever
Yep,
have.
yep, and still moving really heavy weights, because people take this like binary sort of like, I'm either gonna be strong or I'm gonna be look aesthetic, right?
Sure.
And that's absolutely not the case, because you managed to. And the way you've done it is like, okay, you give yourself a realistic amount of time. So if you're like at 175, 180, you want to get down to 165 or 160. Like, how long is it going to take? First of all, you don't really it seems to me like you don't really set a hard expectation for it. You're kind of like, let's run the process, which is a smart way to do it. But it generally,
It's like a year.
yeah, it
Yeah.
might take up to a year, maybe a little bit quicker than that, but it's slow, gradual, and it's consistent, right?
Yes.
If you like, and maybe we'll do this, maybe we'll take a screenshot of like your
Oh yeah,
of like
my
your
macro factor.
yeah, your macro factor weight, and it's just kind of like a perfect, like, I mean, there's obviously little fluctuations, but it's just like perfectly consistent. When you're on it, and it's doing exactly what it needs to do, right?
And I don't want to be the weirdo that's going on vacation to some beautiful place and I'm like packing my chicken and rice to
Yeah.
eat, or like being the person that has to like research the restaurants in advance. Like I want to go and have a good vacation and
Right.
relax. And
Right. Yeah. Has that ever been a concern for you? Like, during all this time, like, oh, I'm about to go on a weekend trip, and like, what am I going to do about eating?
So I would say yes and no. So at the very beginning of my fitness health journey or whatever, definitely so. Because like you said before, when you start something, you're just in that mindset that you have to be 100%. This is a good example. So I went on a little, like a week trip. My husband had a work trip, so I went with him. I packed like 7 protein shakes and like a bunch of jerky and stuff, but that was just to like eat during the day. And then at night, you just kind of do your own thing. So kind of like my chicken that I eat on the way to dinner, if you do a little bit of prep work at the beginning, you have the additional flexibility
Right.
for everything else.
Yep. Right. Yeah. Yeah. We joke around about the
chicken in
travel
the bag.
chicken. It's
It
pretty
works.
funny, but it works, and it's smart. Yeah. Let's talk. The chin up thing's interesting. Let's talk about that, because it's different coming from me. or from Rip or from anyone else to say, like, if you want to get your first chin up, you're a woman, this is what you need to do. And versus like actually having done it, right? So yeah, there was times that you could hit one. I think there was times where you couldn't hit any, right?
Yes, when I was heavier.
Yeah, you couldn't hit any. So yeah, obviously part of it, if you're weighing close to 200 pounds and you don't have a huge deadlift, you're gonna have trouble. So from what you can remember, because I remember it, but from what you can remember, can you run everybody through the process? How did you get your first chin up, and then after that, very quickly, it was like 5, 6, 7, like a bunch, right, in a row.
So my very first chin up was actually before you, but just to kind of give some context to everybody, I was at like a very lightweight, but I didn't do it healthily, and I just kind of tried it one day and just got one. But that was when I was still training in Austin. I had already been able to press over 100 pounds. I was, deadlifting in the 250, whatever, 275 range. But then my mental health got a little bit better. I gained a bunch more weight back because I was happier, and then I just couldn't do them anymore.
Yep.
But it's kind of, I think I've joked with you before, as you lose weight, it's like chin-ups get 1% easier for every pound, and then squats get like 10% harder for every pound you lose. It's just an awful inverse relationship. I guess I'm trying to remember the exact context of your question, like when it happened. I think I
let's go through. Sorry, let's go through run us through what you did. Like, what was the process?
Sure. So there was a lot of negatives. So, you jump up, hold yourself, slowly lower yourself back down. I had done banded chin-ups before. This just might be me, but I don't think they don't feel as effective as
They're
like
not.
a negative.
Yeah, they're not. Right.
I'm trying to remember how I eventually just got one. I don't know. I just kind of just do it.
Well, yeah. So you started with holds at the top.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, so I'd have you like, and you were still training at WFAC because Rip would come around and screw with you.
That's true.
Yeah, Rip loves to just randomly walk up and tell you you're doing something wrong.
And that's a mind, like, it just messes with you.
For sure. Well, to my credit, I think, like, I think when you told him, oh, this is what Nick told me to do, he'd just be like, okay, and just walk away. Like, you didn't actually.
Yeah, that's kudos to you.
Yeah,
He doesn't argue.
Because he won't, yeah,
You're doing
typically
stupid
won't do
shit, but
that.
if Nick told you to do it.
Yeah. So you started with holds, and then I think once you're, and this is kind of the protocol I typically use, and I didn't make this up, right? This came from Rip, but you hold it at the top, and then once you can hold it like in control for a while, you don't want to spend too many weeks like just holding. That's not a good idea. So once you can control the top and hold it, then you start doing negatives, and then you do that until the negatives are fairly controlled. So like where you're not just dropping straight down, right? So that's the point, I think, where at least like where Rip was kind of interjecting, because you were doing holds plus negatives. So usually when you're able to do negatives, you just do negatives. So but there was a reason I was having you do that, because I think yeah, I think I was just slowing you down a little bit, because so anyway, so it's holds, then negatives. Once the negatives get kind of controlled, where you're like have really good control all the way down, you're probably ready to start doing partials. So then so then it's partials, just go down as much as you can and then come back up. And then once you get to the partials, it starts to move pretty quick, right? Then once you get full range of motion, once you hit one, this is what people mess up. Once you can do like one or two, then it's just practice. So yeah, if you remember, it was like in 5 minutes do like as many as you can, or in 7 minutes do as many as you can.
However you string them together, like if you could do 5 at once, or you do one every 10 seconds.
Yeah, and that was another thing Rip didn't like.
Yes.
He's like, why?
Why are you going so good?
Yeah. And then eventually you can start stringing them together, and then and this happens all the time. It's like once you can string 2 or 3 together, then they just start ramping up. Like how many chin-ups can you do now at one time? 5,
6.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot of women. I would probably say most women that can't even do one.
Right.
So, it's definitely an achievable thing. And as your deadlift goes up and everything, then you can just do more of them. So I don't know. Chin ups are just kind of cool, right?
Yeah,
and they're good exercise.
It's kind of like one of those bro lists I was talking about. Like curls, it's just something kind of fun to just go and show off with.
Right. Yeah. Let's get into sort of still kind of talking about the kind of balance situation, right? So, I mean, obviously, I know what you're into now, but over the course of your training, I can't really remember. But were there any other like physical hobbies you were doing during that time?
So, I mean, you joke early about people who just strength train, but that's all I was really kind of into. I am not athletic, like this. I did soccer in high school, but that was just more the team thing, and I I have no hand-eye coordination. That's just not me. So I really enjoyed the strength training because it was just all me. What I put in is what I got out, and then I could see the progress. And it's like a self-esteem boost. Like, you know that you're stronger than the average person.
Right.
But I did get to that point a little. Oh, it's probably been about a year and a half ago, where I'm just like, this is kind of boring. Like, strength training is almost like a medicine, right? It's
Exactly.
fun.
Yep.
But like when you do it, it's not always that fun. But you know you've got to do it. But I wanted to try something new. Again, I didn't want to do anything like team related. That's just not me. I tried BJJ
Oh,
once.
yes, you did. You hated it.
It was not. It's just not for me.
You hated it. No, that's understandable. It's pretty weird.
It is a little bit weird.
Yeah.
It's just in my head all the time. But I decided I wanted something that's individual. So I was looking at either rock climbing, believe it or not, or pole dancing.
Okay.
And we're in Wichita Falls. We no longer have a rock climbing gym, but we do have a pole dancing studio that is just fabulous. And I wanted to choose something where my strength would be an absolute asset. So I'm not afraid to admit I am a little bit vain, and I like the little bit of, self-esteem that comes with being better than other people. And I don't want to say I'm better at pole dancing because I'm certainly not graceful or better, but
That's not vanity at all, though. I mean, no. I mean,
And,
seriously,
yeah.
that's a
It's a
valid driver of humans. So for sure.
But I obviously being stronger is better for all activities. So if you're golfing, if you are doing softball, it doesn't matter. Of course, being stronger will confer a benefit, but first of all, the hand-eye coordination thing. But then to me, it wasn't as direct. So when you're pole dancing, you have to be able to pull yourself into an invert. So I wanted to give it a shot. And it's been great. So I told my husband I wanted to try it. I think he thought I was joking. And then I came back a couple weeks later. I'm like, no, I really want to try this. And surprisingly, weirdly enough, he was very much into it and bought me like a gift
Weird,
card,
right?
Who would have? He's like, yeah, sure, try this. So he bought me a gift card, and I didn't even use up the entirety of my gift card before I was signing up for just monthly lessons or like a unlimited monthly subscription. And it's so much fun. I encourage any woman listening, so what, 6 women you have in your audience maybe, just to give it a shot, because I think people have in their mind, I don't mean to turn your strength training podcast into a pole dancing commercial.
No, it's all good.
It's
benefited my life tremendously because you got my wife into it too.
You're welcome. But I think people have in their mind, like, maybe they've gone to like a seedy strip club. It's not like that at all. At least in our studio, the owner of the studio is fabulous. It's just very inclusive. All sizes, activity levels, whatever, are welcome. They are very affirming in what you do. So again, I am not graceful. So if I could do a nice spin, everybody's like cheering for you, and it's just a bunch of women having fun. To me, I always say it's like playing on a playground. It's not. So strength training, you enjoy it when it's done, at least in my mind. Like, it's fun to hit like PRs and move heavy stuff. I enjoy pole dancing throughout the entire thing. I look forward to it. When we're done with classes, I want to keep going until I'm just exhausted. So that is what my, I guess, athletic schedule, however you want to say, it looks like now. I train with strength training Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Then I do pole classes Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday for 2 to 3 hours a time.
Yep. And how hard are the classes?
It varies. There's some like what they call like a low flow where you're not pulling yourself up, and then we have some instructors that they're almost, I don't want to say it's like a boot camp, but it kind of is, where you just pull yourself up like 5 reps on each side. And when I say an invert, like it's almost like a pull up. You're pulling yourself up and then flipping over.
Right. Yeah, we got a few things to talk about there. So, number one, 100% in terms of like, this is the reality of the situation. Strength training is not fun, unless you're like wired for that. Like if you really get enjoyment out of going to the gym, hitting PRs, and that drives you. It's fun at first.
Yes.
Because everybody enjoys that at first, but there comes a point where it's just work. And it's necessary work. I think you said it's medicine. That's exactly right. Like that's the way I look at it. It's something I have to do. If I could get away with not doing it, I absolutely 100% would.
Just take a pill. Yes.
Exactly. Where there was a time in my life for sure that I really, really enjoyed going to the gym, and it was like therapeutic, and it was like I really, really enjoyed it, and it brought a lot of value to my life. Where now it brings value to my life for sure, but like every training session's like I would rather not be doing it. Right.
I think there's some times where I do, like, anytime I'm pulling, I just love it. You just get in that mind space.
Yeah.
But like besides that, you're right. You just kind of have to push through it.
So that's for sure, and that's the important part. Again, is the balance. Is you have to recognize that this is a thing. Like, what are the alternatives? Right? It's to slowly deteriorate. It's to be injured. It's to be hurting. And not that in the with barbell training you're not going to be hurting, because I mean pain is just a part of life, especially as you're getting older.
Yep.
But but still you need the capability, and pain is less of a factor the more capable you are. And then also being able to do anything that you want to do is another thing that people don't think about, and being able to do that for as long as possible. So something like pole. How did you find the pole studio? Was it just random, like you just saw it one day?
So this is like one of those core memory things. I remember when I was young, my parents were watching a 60 Minutes episode,
Yeah.
and this lady was talking about, I guess pole sport had just was growing at this point. This would have been like early 2000s, maybe like late 90s. And the premise was, are people pole dancers because they're fit, or do you become fit from
Yeah.
being involved in pole? And
Yeah.
that just has stuck with me over the years. So I just kind of Googled it. Wichita Falls is small, so there is one pole dancing studio,
Right.
and luckily it's a fabulous one.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, it's good people there. So okay, yeah, so that's really interesting. Because I think, and this may not be 100% accurate, but something like pole dancing, that's the accurate word, right?
Yeah, or
Fitness,
pole
pole fitness,
sport.
pole sport.
Yeah.
Is gonna, in the absence of like any training, it's gonna select for people who are smaller, who are maybe naturally stronger. Like, not that you can't get strong, but it's like with anything. It's like if somebody shows up who is not sort of fit for that specific thing, there's a very high likelihood that they won't stick with it. You know what I'm saying? Because they get frustrated, and it's like, oh, this isn't for me. There's a group of people who will show up and do the work to make it their thing, and then there's people who are just going to be naturally like gravitating towards it, right? So that's the case with anything. But you are a 160-pound woman who like flies around this pole.
Yeah.
And how much do you think strength training played a part in you actually enjoying doing it?
Oh, yeah, hugely. You can even probably even ask the owner of the studio. But so inverts, if you go online, most people can probably, if you go in zero training whatsoever, hit an invert. Maybe 6 months, maybe 8 months, maybe even a year. It's just hard, especially as a woman, to have the upper body strength to pull yourself up
Right.
and do it safely. So you could probably run and just kick yourself into going upside down, but you're probably going to injure yourself, and it's more difficult. I was inverting within like 3 months.
Yep.
And a lot of that was just like the form and trying to get it right. Other things too. So I struggle with a lot of like the more graceful aspects of it, but it's been made easier by my strength, and I feel like I can go longer. So I can like climb the pole repeatedly. I can I can do the same tricks over and over and over, even though I get tired like anybody else does. I think that having that basis in strength just gave me a little bit of a boost at the very beginning.
Probably a big boost.
Oh yeah.
Honestly, no,
A
for
big
real.
boost, yeah.
Yeah, seriously. And I think that's an important thing to understand is like if if down the line you're interested in doing something else, it doesn't matter what it is. It could be pole. What's the proper term? Sorry.
You can just call it
Just call
pole
okay,
sport.
let's call it pole. All right.
Yeah.
So you can do pole. You can do jiu-jitsu. You can do. You can just go to do whatever classes you want to do, whatever physical hobbies you want to do. Even like, I don't know, pickleball or pick up basketball or whatever. All that stuff it becomes easier and more likely that you'll actually enjoy it, right? And like people who hunt, people who want to go on hikes, you almost don't need anything else. If you're building that baseline capacity, you can usually just kind of plug into something, and then just you already have the baseline attributes and capability to be more successful than you otherwise would have, right? Because you're not dealing with the strength aspect of it, because anything that you do is going to make you stronger if you're not ready for it.
Right.
But if you've already covered that aspect of it, you can focus on like having fun and learning the skill, right?
Yeah, and I think even if it's something that you really enjoy and having fun, there's always those moments where you're frustrated, right? Like, why can't I land this move or whatever it happens to be? But if you're strong, you don't have to also worry about, are my muscles going to give out as I'm trying to pull myself up? You can just focus on like the technical aspects of it.
Right. Yeah. So in terms of the stuff we always talk about with the two-factor model, I mean, there's a great argument for the skill component being affected positively by the acquisition of strength, right? Because not only is it one of the things that you can put aside in terms of getting better at something because it's already there, but it's not just a little thing. It's like really, it's the most fundamental thing, right? So doesn't really matter what you're doing as long as you're if you're stronger, you're going to be better at it on day one.
I also think if you have a basis in like the strength training, like what we do when what you do is starting strength, it keeps you from spinning your wheels on like silly things. So I think in any sport you'll go to, you'll see. I'm not a sports person, so maybe I'm wrong, but people try to get you stronger by doing like strength things with the
Yeah,
sport. So like
yeah,
maybe in pull, they might have you try to get stronger by doing like a pull chin up or
right.
things like that. But it's like, but if you're already doing presses in the gym, you don't have to worry about doing the pull chin
That's
ups.
exactly right.
And if you're going to spend 15 minutes trying to get your upper body stronger, why not just go and press 100 pounds?
That's exactly right. Yeah, and it actually isn't effective long term.
Mm-hmm.
You know that's the other problem. But because you're right, that happens in every sport that you do. Is like coaches might start thinking a little bit outside the box, like, okay, well, I need to make people more fundamentally more capable or more athletic. So how am I going to do that? And in like something like jujitsu, it comes out like, okay, we're going to run around the mat, or we're gonna do like all this. We're gonna do like push-ups, or we're gonna do you know pull each other with the gi, and it's like you're not actually getting stronger. You're not
Right.
actually building any strength. So absolutely, absolutely. And then if you do end up having to do that stuff, it just kind of falls into the practice category
Exactly.
rather than the development category, right? Okay, cool. Let me think. What else do I need to ask you while I have you here? We covered training. We covered balance. We covered nutrition. You have like I keep telling you that you should have a nutrition blog.
Probably.
And not I guess it wouldn't be a nutrition blog, but
Right.
more like a practical advice blog. Because people and this is another thing that's cool about you is that you are able to take you're able to just implement like practical advice, whether it's your own advice or things you get from other people, because everybody loves to complicate everything, right?
Yes.
So it's like you have a goal. Nutrition's a good one, right? So it's something that kind of everybody can understand. You have a nutrition goal. So the part of it is like is just not knowing what to do. The other part of it is maybe like sort of subconsciously looking for excuses to not proceed or make things more
Right.
difficult. But you have had a lot of success on the like body composition, aesthetic, nutrition side of things. How simple is it, or how am I wrong about that? How complicated is it?
No, I think you can just take it down. Yeah, it's very simple. At least the way that I do it. And again, it goes back to like knowing who you are. If you're somebody that just like revels in the complicity and you like looking up new recipes every week, my method's not going to work for you.
Yeah.
But I don't think I get bored that easily of repeating the same thing. So once a week, again, I make my bulk chicken. I make a bulk grain. I always have to have a sweet thing. So I have a protein pudding that I make every week. And then I just eat that throughout the week. And then the weekend comes again, I just make the same thing. So every day for lunch, I'm having my quinoa bowl with my chicken. I might add some like veggies I have randomly, or I eat a lot of sauerkraut, which is weird, but I'll throw sauerkraut in there. So I make this big bowl with like sauerkraut in there. Every day for breakfast, I'm not a breakfast person, not a morning person, so I just have coffee.
Yep.
I have one protein shake a day. And then that gives you the flexibility for other things. But if you know, okay, by the time I go out for dinner or I'm going to have dinner, I've consumed 100 grams of protein and about 800 calories. So I have the flexibility to go get a pizza,
Yep.
or maybe you don't want a pizza. Maybe you want a grilled chicken breast at home, but then you can have like a Ben and Jerry's pint of ice cream, whatever.
Right.
So I do the strict stuff so I have more flexibility on the back
Yes.
end.
Right. Yeah. And you I mean you eat. I mean it's like you're
You've
not
seen it.
well, and not only that, you're like you like food. Like you're our resident food consultant. Like it's like, should we try this place? And you're like, yeah, go. Or should I
Right,
not
they
try
just
this place?
opened.
Yeah. So yeah, you know about food. The so in terms of technical knowledge, how much time do you spend thinking about like your actual macros, your actual like on a day-to-day basis? How much time are you thinking about like are you just all the things that everybody worries about with nutrition? It's like, do I need to optimize this thing? Do I need to worry about this other thing?
Not a whole lot of time. So at the beginning, more so, but that was more figuring out like what worked for me and what didn't. And then by the end, it's just almost automatic. Like I can just copy my recipe day to day to day because it's largely the same.
Right.
And then I think kind of what you said earlier, people get caught up in the complexity because one, it's easy because then you can delay it because you can't make a decision because
Yep.
you're just trying to be the most optimal. But I try to approach it. If I'm 80-ish% of the way there, it's
Yes.
just going to carry itself.
100%.
So if you look at for example, on my macro factor, my intake, I'm supposed to probably be at a 250 calorie deficit. The average is probably closer to like 150 to 200 because I like to eat. But in the long run, I'm still going to get the results because consistency is better than perfection.
That's
like if I just
exactly right.
got hung up on like I went over 100 calories today, like that's not going to get me anywhere.
Yep. Yeah. In fact, perfection will just undo trying to achieve perfection will just undo everything. So yeah, we talked about it a little bit before, but compliance and consistency is the key. That's the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly. And takes less brain space.
Takes less brain space, and the people who do impressive things, are I mean, there's always going to be a like a predisposition or genetic component. Like you're just good at something, but I don't know. Would you categorize yourself as somebody who was born to lift weights or like be good at lifting weights? So
I hope my parents are listening, but I don't think I have like athletic genes. My dad always joked it's good I had like a scholarship for like the book stuff. You know?
Yeah,
like,
right. Yeah, so that's been my experience too. It's like people who otherwise have yeah, and this sounds unnecessarily shitty, but don't have like a predisposition to be super athletic. You can do really, really impressive things through consistency and just sticking to a process, right?
So listen, I did soccer 4 years in high school. I made varsity my senior year, I think, just because I felt sorry for me. I think I played one game when we were like up by 9 points. Like I did not have the genetic code, I guess, to be an athlete.
Right. Yeah. We were talking about your mom a little bit before, right?
Oh yeah.
And that's kind of probably the last thing we'll talk about, but that's kind of a good thing to hear you say, because definitely, over the years, it's like you've been pretty rigid with your thinking about how things should go. And I actually remember having a conversation about your parents somewhere where you were saying my parents need to train or need to do something, but like, what do I do because they don't have the equipment or whatever, right? So yeah, will you talk a little bit about that?
I think that's something else too that comes with experience is I have become less dogmatic. I'll say I'm more convinced that strength training is the answer.
Yes.
But if you don't have a barbell, if you don't have a squat rack, that doesn't mean you can't do something to improve yourself. And mom and dad, I'm sorry I'm using you as an example, but they're kind of the perfect example. So my parents are in their 60s. My mom was a stay-at-home mom and then went and worked for the local school district. My dad has been a maintenance worker his whole life. So I will brag on my dad a little bit. He's just like one of those naturally really strong old guys. Yeah. Well, I say naturally. He pulled 315 the other day like it was nothing at the gym when he came to visit me.
And he doesn't train, right?
He's never pulled a barbell before in his life.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It was something else.
Imagine if he trained.
With a bar, I think he's looking into barbells now because he has a little bit of pride that we talked about. He wants to show off a little bit.
Yeah.
But my mom is a great example. Her and I are built a lot alike. That we're very particular. We like to follow structure and follow rules. And I was having some trouble trying to help them figure out a training regimen that would work with their lives. I mean, they're nearing retirement age. They raise goats. They have like 36 acres, so they're always busy on their little farm. But I put together just like a dumbbell program for her, and she's been doing it for 4 or 5 months now. And we've had to change some things, like we've moved to threes, like what you mentioned before. And she would say that it's drastically improved her life. Her lower back pain, I have her doing like dumbbell RDLs. Has almost gone away completely.
Yep.
She said she was in car rides or whatever, she'd always have to stuff a pillow there trying to go to sleep. She'd have back pain. But I've kind of like we were talking about before, that if you pursue perfection, you're never going to improve.
That's right.
Years ago, if they would have approached me, I would have been like, well, you don't have barbells, you don't have a squat rack, so there's no point. But the fact that they have dumbbells, they have a dedicated space in their house, and they have an hour in the mornings, they're making progress. I mean, they're getting stronger. Even if it's my mom is chipping away a pound or two with her Arnold press or whatever, it's still preparing them for their 70s and 80s.
Yeah, not only that, but you're also laying the groundwork for like, there's going to come a point where like, oh, it's like not working, but then you have an easier conversation. It's like, hey, like it's time to get some barbells, right?
Exactly.
And I've done that many times where like somebody's telling me that they hate barbells. All they have is kettlebells. Like, okay, well, do this and this and this. And then when it stops working, then they're like, what do I do next? If you want to keep making progress, like maybe consider a barbell, right? So it's a way easier transition then, right?
I had to have that conversation because I had my mom doing like goblet squats essentially, and she has those power blocks. So as they get bigger, my mom is actually shorter than me and like has slighter bones, so she's having trouble holding the power. Could you imagine trying to like power block squat like 40? She was doing like 45 pounds on her squat, like to a bench and back up.
Right.
So we've had to make some modifications, but I think they're probably gonna be getting some barbells soon. I hope.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Well, as the designated representative for women
For all
everywhere,
women
for all
everywhere,
women
all
everywhere.
time.
Yeah. Anything you want to say? Anything we missed? Any advice?
So I guess I'll say it over and over again. Know who you are and just try to build. If you're trying to make changes, take into account who you are. Don't make drastic changes. It'll come. You're not going to get accidentally bulky. So,
Yeah.
have you ever talked to people who have claimed they put on mass too easily? I've had this conversation with several people. They're like, "Oh, I just can't strength train because I put on mass too easily."
I
It's
have heard that
ridiculous.
before. You got to, I mean, it is, but you got to remember it's like somebody may like get a little bit of a tricep and be
Uh-huh.
like, "Oh my God."
Or I think that they think that they're in the gym, so they start eating more, and
Yeah.
then it's more fat as opposed to
So the
muscle.
scale is a problem too,
Yes.
right? Because especially when you start strength training, your body weight, you almost have to have this conversation. If you're doing all the things right, you're adding weight to the bar and you're
Hmm.
increasing your protein, maybe eating a little bit more food, those scale will stay the same for sure,
Hmm.
or it may even go up a little
Right.
bit. And even over time, it's like I've had so many women, and it's like you objectively, like looking at them, you could take measurements,
Hmm.
and they have lost inches, like
Right.
lost inches, but their scale weight has gone up,
Hmm.
and it screws with their head really badly, right? So, but again, that's a thing that maybe comes with time
Yes.
and just getting comfortable with the idea. So that's, I mean, that's the job of the coach to help people
Exactly.
work through that. So, so yeah, you won't get bulky.
Hmm.
Figure out who you are, make sure you're comfortable or know who you are and how this is going to work out.
And the body that you want is probably on the other side of the barbell.
Exactly
Hmm.
right. Very nice. Very nice. Okay. All right. Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Erin.
It's
This is
great.
awesome. All
Hmm.
right. And thank you guys. Again, if you have any questions or if you have any suggestions for us, go to podcast@ssgyms.com. Is your like stuff public? Do you want to put it
Yeah,
out?
if they want to go to my Instagram, that's fine. It's just Erin Spiva. Nothing,
Okay.
nothing
Aaron
special.
Spiva, Spiva.
Yes, I think it's like Erin M Spiva at Erin M Spiva.
Okay. All right. Yeah. And if you follow me, I whenever she tags me and stuff, I post it.
Yeah.
So you'll see her and you'll see her fly around the pole and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
it's great.
Awesome. Okay. Thanks a lot, folks. We will see you next time.